Liftoff in 3, 2, 1.
Get started. Thank you and welcome to another episode of the Body Mind Index. I'm your host, Jerry Pujals, with one of my best and dearest friends of all time, David Ramirez from Puerto Rico, and I am so happy to have you here, buddy.
Me too, man. It's 40 years of friendship, and it keeps going and keeps getting better, man.
You said 40. It's more than 40 because we were in the 8th grade together.
I know, but I don't want to know that we're almost going to 60, man. It's too much for me.
It's too much, man. I'm actually gonna highlight. I'm gonna share the screen really quick. Well, before I share the screen, I want to just talk about your journey, man, because you and I talk often about our struggles with weight going up and down, and we've suffered from the same thing ever since we were young men and young boys. And we've been up, we've been down, we've been in the middle, and it's just been a struggle. And for you right now, you're in the process of losing weight. You've lost over 120 pounds to date.
I think it's a little more than that, 128 pounds. Yeah.
So body fat is melting off of you, and I see it every time I see you or see a posting of your photo of your face. I can see it.
Yeah.
You know, you did not lose weight for a lack of effort. You know, you like me get up early in the morning, you go for intense hikes, super long walks. You just not afraid to get out there and do what you got to do. The one conversation I haven't had with you, David, is what was different this time that you said, if you're anything like me, you got fed up. There's a point where you just get sick of feeling sick, right? You get so what was your point? What did it for you?
Well, when we were kids, man, you could melt that fat real fast, man. I could lose, maybe I did twice. I lost like 100 pounds in 8 months period. And I could jog like 5 miles, no problem at all. And I went to the starvation periods with eating salad and all that. And I tried doing that at this stage in life, which, like told you, I'm 58 right now. And I could lose, last year, I was like 390 pounds, 54 of waist and 5X in shirts. And I felt my legs were giving up on me. I tried walking and doing the exercise. I could drop maybe 45 pounds, 45 pounds. And I had to go 200 pounds more to lose, you know. And I like you said, the yo-yo effect, it keeps coming on. You lose some weight, you gain it back. And I felt I had to do something drastic in my life. I was pre-diabetic. Man, I was in the verge of a heart attack, maybe some kind of severe sickness that would get me into a bed or something. And I don't want to be a toll for my family, you know. And I had to do something drastic, and I went through a bariatric sleeve operation, you know, and it's been almost 2 months about it. And like I said, I was 390 last year. I lost like 40 pounds on my own. But when I started going to the doctor and following whatever advice she did, I went through the process, and I was scared as hell, man, because surgery. Like my dad, who was a doctor, he died. He told me the best surgery you can do is the one you don't do, you know, because so many things can go wrong, man. But I felt at this stage I had to do something drastic because, like told you, something was going to happen sooner or later, man. So like I told you before, I compare this situation, I will say this obesity sickness, because it's a sickness like an alcoholic, drug addict. You know, it's a binge. You keep craving and craving and craving, and it's a battle you go through every day. So for me, it's like being on a obesity roller coaster ride, the front row without a seatbelt on, the front row. So it's like hell, man, and you go through hell every time, you know. And I wanted to do something different. Like you saw me like 5 or 8 years ago, what I used to do this live walks that I do 2:30 in the morning, 3 in the morning. Uh, Trying to inspire others and help me, you know, inspire myself too. You know, it's a two-way situation. But you took it you took it a whole new different way, and I wanted to get into that the stage that you're in, which, you know, I admire you very much, you know, because the journey that you have taken is a very different journey that I've done this time, and it takes a lot of courage to what you do every day and what you did, you know, and you keep motivating everybody, man. It's you know, I follow you every time. You're a wounded warrior, man. You just keep fighting, keep struggling, and I learn from you a lot every day, man. A lot. I see your live, your cast, and your podcasting, and it just inspires quite a lot of people, man.
Thanks, David.
Yeah.
You know, it's funny that you said some of the things that you said, because I hear people talk about, you know, bypass surgery, get, you know, whether you get the sleeve or a gastric bypass or whatever you do. I've heard people look at that as if it's an easy journey.
No, it's
And
not, man.
yeah, and I've had plenty of friends, family members that have done it, and
Yeah.
it's something that you gotta come to terms with.
Mm-hmm.
And then it doesn't, and then you don't get a pass, because to even get the surgery, you gotta lose a bunch of weight. And if you're anything like me, which I know you well enough to know that you probably could admit that you, like me, are a food addict,
Mm-hmm.
that, you know, we struggle with eating unhealthy foods, processed foods, things that are not necessary, you know. So when you come to terms with that and you can surrender, then you're able to take some action. And look at you, man, you took some action, because it is massive to, first of all, lose the 40 or 50 pounds that one has to lose to even qualify for the surgery.
Mm-hmm.
Then you're going into this knowing
Mm-hmm.
that mentally you're going to have to face something, right?
And you're scared as hell, man. You're really scared, man. You know,
Yeah.
if you asked me the first month, I would have told you don't do it, man, because it's a really it's a sacrifice, man, and there it's not a nice way to go, man.
Yeah.
Right now, for the second month, I'm feeling much better, but you have to go through that process, and if you think the surgery is a magical one that it will take you easy to go from one point to another, it's not, man. You have to struggle every day too.
Yeah. No matter what you do, no
No.
matter what you do. And you know, I see people with that. Are you aware of that whole Ozempic thing?
Yeah, I went through Ozempic too.
What? Yeah, I'm concerned about. I'm really concerned about it, because I think people think that you don't have to change your lifestyle.
No, you do. I'm sorry about that. You
Yeah.
do, but what I was through the process of Ozempic, I felt sick, man, most of the time. Sick all the time, you know. Plus the different things that you go through with the side effects of the, even though they tell you that you don't go through that, you go through a lot of constipation. You can get intestinal, it gets, you know, obstructed. So, you know, from the first time I started injecting that into my system, I feel sick, man. I honestly, it was my case. I don't know other people, but in my case, you most of the time feel sick.
Yeah, and that's my fear with anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
If you think that you're gonna sort of game the system by
Mm-hmm.
getting off scot-free, I don't think it exists, right? It's no matter what you
No.
do, whether it's that bariatric surgery or even going my route, which is the SOS free and
Yeah.
no alcohol, no caffeine, no
Mm-hmm.
meat, no anything, because I chose to travel this road.
Mm-hmm.
None of them are easy.
No. But the approach you gotta do is the one you're doing. It's a way of life. It's not a magical potion that you take and takes you from one point to another and that's it. It's a whole new sacrifice, but you have to see it as a state of being healthy, man. That's the only way to see it, man.
And I think and I believe is the same for you. It's identically,
Hmm.
we just went two different routes to get
Yeah,
there. But I think the future is bright for both of us, because I
yeah,
think that from here on out, we just keep putting one foot in front of the other, right?
right. And that route you took, I want to try because it's a healthy way to feel, because right now the way I'm eating, which is small portions, like 3 ounces.
Oh, you're already eating solids?
Yeah, but the way my body behaves, most of it with the protein, which is fish and chicken, I don't feel right now. I'm in the right circumstance or the best way I want, because the way I want to do is the way you're doing it in the alimentation wise. I want to focus in that way. That's why I'm reaching out for you, because I want to learn that way, because I have to go healthier.
Oh man, I have an idea right now, and just so you know, and for you, the door's wide open. Did you get that episode I sent you where I was a guest on Chef AJ?
Yeah, that was fantastic, man.
Did you like it?
Chef A is out of this world, man.
Out of this
I
world.
learned so much from that episode, and I'm gonna try to implement what I saw, because you guys combined and gave so much valuable information that it's
Well,
priceless,
thank you.
man.
No, thank you for that. But the one idea she gave me through the show is
Hmm.
to do a reset program in Napa where
Yeah.
people come stay in one of my places,
Hmm.
literally reset
Hmm.
their cupboards. I mean, literally reset their environment. So then they're eating
Hmm.
healthy. So I have an open invitation for you to come to Napa. Stay in one.
I'm I'm on that schedule. I
Okay.
told you, like I promised, but that way you're approaching it is good, because apart from eating differently and learning some new ways, a change of ambience to what you do regularly, that
Huge,
could do the trick too.
huge, huge.
Yeah.
With Susan, we came to a crossroad, my wife and my wife of
Okay.
35 years. And
Yeah.
I always say you get a lot of credit for that marriage. You're the guy
Yeah, I know. I do. She's
that
another warrior, man. You two guys combine and do such a great formula, of
thank you.
good things that is just, it's amazing, man.
Well, for those that don't know, I mean, Susan and I I was barely 20 years old.
Yeah.
She was a minute older than me, and we separated. I was in Puerto Rico
Yeah.
and she was in Napa, and David said, you better give her a call. You can't live without that person. And he was right.
Yeah.
I made the call. Susan was on the next flight to Puerto Rico,
Yeah.
and here we are 35 years later. So I still thank you for that from the bottom of my heart.
Yeah.
Because most friends want to keep the friends to go party.
Yeah.
You were not that friend. You knew that I was
Yeah.
heartbroken and I needed to get back to what was going to complete me. So thank you for that.
Yeah. I knew it was the best thing for you,
Yeah.
because what I heard from you, for Susan, you told me about her, and even though we're kind of disconnected, our great friendship at that time, I knew that's what you needed. But
Yeah.
the best thing I can say about our friendship is we could be apart and we don't talk maybe for a while, but once we connect, we take it from when we left it, and
Every time.
that's the most important friends and that's friendship. That's a special, valuable friendship.
I agree. Thank you, man. I feel exactly the same.
Yeah.
So but based on, on that, let me just share my screen real quick and show the photos that you sent me, because
Yeah.
I thought that was pretty impressive. So
It is, man.
send me these photos.
Yeah.
And well, I sent you that photo. That
That
was me.
one for me is, I didn't see you that way, and that was like impressive for me, Jerry, because it's like another person, man.
That was me during COVID, David, and
Yeah.
that was me wearing a weight belt so I could move some rocks around on a property that I bought in the mountains of Napa Valley. And I had this beautiful little property, and I was trying to help demolish these flagstone rocks off of it, so I
Okay.
could cement guys come in and do this beautiful work that they did for me. And
Okay.
my lower back hurt so much that I would have to wear this weight belt. But I'm glad I wore it, because it really accentuated.
Yeah. It does. Yeah, I know. But for there, what I'm seeing, I can maybe picture, like, the Robin Hood episodes that you're in the
Yeah,
woods and there's
yes,
this big guy there.
yeah.
That's not you, man. I just can't figure out that way, man. You were.
Oh, it was intense, man. And that was only, 2.5, 3 years ago. So it was crazy. So, but you sent me this picture of yourself, which
Yeah.
I don't know if I can make it any bigger than that. I wish,
Yeah.
oh, I didn't. I just messed it up. Let me go back to
Okay.
it.
Don't worry.
So this was a picture of you.
Yeah.
How much do you think you were weighing on this photo?
I was 390 there last year, and I was like 54 of waist, man. That picture was taken by my mother,
Oh.
because I didn't see when she took the picture, and she kept it for me to compare what I was gonna go through.
Oh, well done. Because a lot of
Yeah.
times when I've gotten big, like in that other picture, I don't like my
Yeah.
photos taken. I don't want
No,
anybody.
no, that's one thing I wanted to tell you. I never want to be pictured. I never want, I wasn't a part socially.
Yeah,
I was like, in a shell. I was kind of in a bubble. I didn't want to interact with other people. I
yep.
was, it was a really tough time for me, man.
Well, let me show the next picture. I don't know. Can you see
Yeah.
that picture?
Yeah, that was where we were in our prime, hanging out, and that was that you can compare what we gone through. And when we were talking last time, you said something really, really special that kept, and you're right about that. We come from a Latin background, and our parents, and it's nothing to blame my grandmother or your aunt or whatever, for Latin people trying to greet you with food.
Yeah.
That's kind of the classic thing to go to. You go to a place, they greet you with food, and when you're a kid, my grandmother biggest thing in her life was to wait for me in her house so I can pig out and eat like crazy. And she felt so happy for
Oh,
that. And I was kind of sometimes blaming her, but you tell me something. She was feeling that she was giving me love with that.
yeah.
And you're right about that. I didn't interpret it that way, but you're right on the money on that.
Well,
For
it
her,
felt like love, because it was love. I mean, you were getting
yeah,
so much love.
yeah, and that was a way of expressing me love. And even though it programmed my head, and it changed my way of being, because everything surrounded with food. Uh, you know, she wanted that for me, and that stayed with me my whole life, man.
Oh,
So everything, and my dad did all the same, because I was so distant. My dad and I were 20 years distant difference, and we couldn't connect sometimes. And for him, the best way he can show me is to take me out to eat, and that was constantly. Everything surrounded food. Everything surrounded food, and everything resumed about food. So my life, I was programmed to be that way. still right now, even though they took 3/4 of my stomach in that surgery, and they took the main part is where the cravings are, which is there in the stomach, in the intestines, and in your brain. But that part in my brain, I have to keep working on that. That's why I'm going to psychological treatment, because my mind is still as a fat person. Even though I just can't eat right now, I could go back on it. It's going to be hard, but if I don't work on that, the the probabilities are that I could do that back too. I just don't want to do that, because Jerry, we haven't talked about some things, but the bullying for a fat person since you're a kid is horrible, man.
Brutal.
Even though they have a conscious things about bullying, kids are horrible sometimes, with the fat people, and at work, it's always it's somehow you're the comical person, and you have to somehow find a way to make it happen so that you're accepted, so the comical, funny fat guy, always there, and that took a toll on me, man. Honestly, that was really bad for me, and it made me angry my whole life, and I started hating people, because I didn't want to go to class reunions. I didn't want to go, back to those people, even though sometimes maybe they didn't mean bad directly, because I confronted maybe some of them, and you know, now they are aware of what they did to, indirectly to me, and what caused me to be in frustration and in depression, because if you're obese, you go through that too, So that's something you have to work out every day. It's a battle that you give every day, man.
Well, I tell you, I was talking to somebody a few minutes ago about this, and I keep always referring, and people are going to get tired of hearing me say this, but I talk a lot about walking through fire, and sometimes, and you're in that fight right now.
Mm-hmm.
The fight is such a worthwhile endeavor. Just just realize that the bigger things are, if something were to happen to our kids or loved ones. I know that right now you're dealing with things with your mom, and you're trying to help her through it. But as long as those things are okay, walking through fire, as long as we are able to, because we're here and we can, is something to consider. I read a book that I pitch often. It's called, the book is called Feel the Fear and Do It Anyways.
Okay.
And that book helped me confront some things, because I used to be, there was a time in my life that I became really afraid of flying. I became really anxious about getting on an airplane. And then also I was petrified of public speaking, which I ended up doing a lot of after I wrote some books on real estate. But
And you do it well, and it comes natural to you, man.
it's not natural at all. Just so you know, it's the most unnatural behavior ever.
Okay.
And the reason I share that with you is because of just that, because it's not natural to want to walk through fire. It's not natural to be uncomfortable. It is much more natural to take the easy way.
Okay.
And you, my friend, did not choose the easy way.
No.
You chose a real hard way. What I'm proud of is the fact that you took action, because without action, there is no change, man. And you took massive, massive action. And look what's happened: 120 pounds down, 130, 128 pounds down. And now you're starting to feel better. You're talking about walking longer distances. You're talking about coming over here, which, I haven't seen you in a bunch of years. The last time I was in Puerto Rico, well, is it already like 10 years?
Yeah, maybe, 10 years.
Yeah, about 10 years ago. I haven't seen you in 10 years. And now I just see that 2024, we're not going to let it go by without seeing each other. And this is all coming only because David Ramirez chose to take massive action because nobody was going to tell him not to.
No.
You
And,
know,
and let me tell you something. From being a 54 waist yesterday, getting into 38, let me tell you something, Jerry. When I started losing those 40 pounds, I lost a couple of inches, and it was tough as hell to get maybe 2 or 3 inches of waist. Now going to a 38 this morning, 38, 39, 40, that area there in such a short period of time, you feel so good, you know.
Sure.
You starting to gain your confidence again, and you want more. And that's something that's a feeling I haven't experienced in maybe 30 years, man. Honestly.
Dude, that's such a beautiful thing.
Yeah. I'm losing I just can't hear you right now.
What's that, David? I'm sorry, I couldn't hear.
Your audio there. All right, there you go. Okay, you're back.
Thank you.
But you know, going all your feet swelling, getting problem of circulation, getting all these spots in your legs that you know, losing like hair in the leg area, knowing that you're dying. So, you know, that's something that you just if you keep being the path that you were doing the way I was doing it, I knew that was gonna die soon, man, or something was gonna happen. It was bound to happen.
Well, there are two things that get us, right? And well, there are a lot of things that can get us, but there are two major factors. And one of them is, you know, what we eat and the environment. And also something that has to do with the environment is the stress, you know, the stress. And when we're overweight, we're highly stressed because we're highly concerned about that we're carrying this weight. Things, I don't know how you were, but for me, my joints hurt, my body hurt, my lower back, everything just ached. And it was inflammation everywhere, and that inflammation carried itself, and it has showed itself in my attitude towards others. And I love what you said about the way you were feeling, because that's called resentment. You start getting resentful, and the more you resent, the more things go the other way. People see it, people react that way towards you. It's almost a vortex. It just sucks you into this deep hole, right? And I'm just so happy to see you. Dude, I'm just so happy to see you coming out of it, man. It's just the most beautiful thing ever, bro.
Yeah, and the thing is, people don't want to be around with you, that kind of person, you know, that kind of person that is toxic, that it's always negative. You know, right now, I like to feel love and give love to people. I didn't feel that way for a while, man. I was angry all the time.
David, tell me a little bit about, you know, what are some of the things that you're starting to do in the way of movement? And tell me a little bit about, maybe since we're at the beginning of the year, tell me a little bit about some of your physical goals for this coming year.
Yeah, well, I couldn't even go around the block when I was like in that stage, like 390 pounds. I started walking maybe a couple of laps around the neighborhood, and all of a sudden that keep improving, and my breathe. I was breathing better. That's something that you feel bad because you feel your pressure in your chest all the time, and all of a sudden I started walking 5 miles a day. I wake up at 2:30 in the morning because I go to work at 6 a.m. So I have to go 2:30 in the morning so I could walk maybe 1.5, 2 hours a day, and I was doing 7 days a week. So one of the days I went out of the neighborhood, and I could walk 8 miles, 9 miles. Last couple of weeks I've done 12 miles. I don't go to the way you're doing because I would love to get it the way you're doing it, because your body now is responding in a way that it's, you know, it's amazing. And I would love to get into that, you know, those trails that you're doing walking. But, you know, I'm still very far away from getting there. But I feel much better, you know. And 12 miles, it's an accomplishment really amazing, you know. And since you know me, one of my passions is music. So I've been like since 15 years old doing DJ lighting and karaoke sound, and I improved so much, and people love the way I do things in the music business. Even though I'm 58 and I'm kind of feeling old for that, I was almost going to retire last year because my weight couldn't handle the way I was doing maybe 4, 5, 6 hours music, and all of a sudden I started turning it around. This year I ended up, you know, doing like this month like eight parties that were really successful, and that gave me another, you know, another dimension in the what I was doing, because while I can enjoy it and I can give people fun, you know, they can enjoy it. I would love to keep on doing it as far as I can go, you know, and I almost sold all my equipment. I stayed with one speaker and the computer. A couple of my friends told me, man, I seen you doing parties and there's no one doing that the way that you do, man. Don't retire. Don't get out of it. You know, that's something that gives you, you know, lots of, you know, good memories, you know. So all of a sudden I say, let's try it. They started getting me parties and hired me for gigs, you know. All of a sudden, you know, that gave me like another option in my life, you know. And that plus, you know, I can stand now for 4 hours. I couldn't even stand. I had to take this stool and sit down because I couldn't even stand, Jerry. It was awful, you know. And even that, which I did with so much happiness and joy, it turned out to be a nightmare and a pain. So that's why I wanted to retire that way, because even that, it was difficult for me. And I still need to go like 140 pounds, and that passed because that's the way my doctor wants me to go. She wants to go for me to go 150, which maybe 40 years ago when you saw me, and I was running 5 miles a day, uh, I went to 155, 21, 29 on waist, but I was maybe like 30, 30 years ago, and I didn't like what I saw because I saw myself sick. I was too thin, you know. But let's see where I can go to. You know, I will. The thing here is the way I'm going, where I'm going. I need to be healthy. You understand that? And I would love to get into that way of life that you're doing, the eating, and I really enjoy what you see. What I see when you come in with those videos and the alimentation, the way you're eating, and so much clean, healthy. That's the way to go, man. That's the way to go, Jerry.
Well, you know, we're talking about the environment, and that's the part that I got sidetracked when I was
Yeah.
trying to tell you that when I made that hard decision, it must have been
Mhm.
similar to the decision that you made
Mhm.
to do something, right? And for me,
Yeah.
I had to go to Susan and say, listen, I got to do something, and I need to clean the cupboards. I need to wipe everything out, and that was met with resistance because Susan struggles with keeping weight. Susan struggles
Okay.
keeping weight in her body, on her body.
Okay.
But I told her, I said that, you know, for me, it was going to be drastic. Either I can clean my environment or I was going to have to
Mhm.
leave my environment, change my
Yeah.
environment.
Mhm.
And not everybody has the luxury to be able to say, listen, I'll go move into another house and I'll
Yeah.
do what I got to do. But fortunately for me, I have a supportive and loving wife that said, okay,
Yeah.
I'll write this challenge with you. And she endured it because the first 3 months were really hard when you're detoxing all the sugar, the oil, the salt that you put in your system and the things that we're addicted to, right? Because we're addicted to all these
Mhm.
things.
Yeah.
The
It is an
caffeine.
addiction.
Oh, I
Mhm.
was drinking so much caffeine, David, that
Mhm.
I realize in this journey now that somebody who has my nervous system does not need caffeine. I'm way too hyper as it is anyway. So
Yeah.
I don't need, if you're a hyper person, and you suffer from anxiety, you
Yeah.
probably don't need caffeine. Caffeine is not your friend. And
Okay.
frankly, has become the most accepted drug in our country. You know, everybody is on caffeine. But if you have my wife's personality, who's very even keel and stable, caffeine doesn't affect her the way that it affects me.
Okay.
But I want to thank you for at least recognizing that I am eating clean, and that is not easy, to walk this path. And a lot of people think is crazy. A lot of people make fun of it, like, oh my God. Then I've heard people say, God, why would you want to live if you can't have cake, or if you can't live, or if you can't have that? And I find that to be somewhat insulting. And it to me is almost the same as asking offering heroin to a heroin addict. You know, if you have a challenge with drugs, why would you say, why don't you try a little bit of this? It's not going to hurt you. And of course, it's going to hurt you. So in recognizing that I am a food addict, and that I do have that as a challenge, then a clean environment is the best case scenario for me. And what it has brought, David, it's a level of joy that I never knew existed.
And you see, you can perceive it when I speak to you, and the complexion of your face and your skin is different, man. It's different.
Thanks. No, I thank you for validating that, because it's not always met with that. And I think a lot of it is not, you know, there are people that haven't struggled with these cycles and these yo-yos, and they can't, it's unfair for me to assume that they can relate, because if you haven't suffered or have had a loved one suffer from this type of addiction, it's, I mean, I would literally use food to help myself go to sleep at night.
Wow.
It was the drug that would calm. You know how people that have an issue with alcohol will have a cocktail or two to wind down the day? I would wind down the day with food, with a pizza, with this, with that, you know? And it would really, and then I would sleep with that, and I would sleep with that in my stomach, and then I couldn't sleep. And that's the other part that I wanted to just take a few minutes to talk to you about sleep, and how are you doing with your sleep? Are you still getting up early to go to work? What does that look like for you?
No, I keep going through that, and I had to go through like the machine of apnea.
I wear a CPAP machine, just so you know.
Well, I use a CPAP for the last week. I haven't used it.
Because you've lost some weight.
Yeah, and I don't feel that thing that I'm stuck in my throat and I can't breathe. Well, I tried not using it this week, and it went really well. And for me, I can go at 9 at sleep and get at 2:33 in the morning, and that kind of sleep works for me, even though I take a power nap in the afternoon regularly, because I come out at 3 at the afternoon from work, and maybe get an hour power nap at the afternoon.
So David, can we take a step back, because I just heard something recently that gave me a lot of insight, and I'll send you the link to this podcast. And it was on the Diaries of a CEO, and he was talking to a sleep expert that was just fabulous. You're going to love this episode. I'm going to send it to you. It's going to blow your mind.
Okay.
You know, I was considered by the terms of this doctor, I was considered a shift worker back in the years where I used to own. Remember, I used to own a produce company. So back in those days when I owned the produce company, I would go to work about 11 o'clock at night or midnight, and I would come home 10, 11 o'clock in the morning the following day. So that's considered a shift worker. So if you're not asleep every night between 10 p.m. and 6 a.m., you are some form of shift worker. What I also learned from this woman and her studies is that some of us, by doing that for many years, on average, give up about 15 years of our life.
Wow.
Because we're shift workers, because we don't sleep those 8 hours, and we're up a lot in the middle of the night. I'm sharing this with you because I love you, and I see the trajectory that you're in. And if you're still waking up at 2:30 in the morning to get a workout in, I'm just going to be super concerned.
Yeah.
I still wear my CPAP machine because I get a huge volume of oxygen while I'm sleeping with that.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
got after I lost the 80 pounds, I got tested, and I still have a little sleep apnea because the flap is still kind of loose in there, the way that worked for me. I like wearing it because I fall asleep within 3 minutes of wearing that thing.
Definitely, and I did it for 5 years, 6 years every day.
Oh, it's a game changer, right? And one day, if I don't have to wear it, trust me, I won't wear it. I'm gonna go on a 200-mile hike in the next 4 months, 5 months. And when I go on that hike, I'm gonna have to buy. They sell a mini version of that machine with a battery backup because I don't want to carry the heavy one on my backpack.
Yeah. Okay.
But I'm telling you how much I value my sleep now in a way that I didn't before.
Yeah.
And I'm just hopeful that you can get to, I pray that you can get to a place where you're getting your solid 8 hours of sleep at night, where you're in bed by 9 or 10 o'clock at night and you don't wake up till 6 a.m., man.
I would love to do that, and I used to do that, but I spoke to a couple of doctors who told me once you get after 50 years old, you don't get much sleep than 5 6 hours, and that's something that amazed me because I used to sleep those 8 hours like most of the time.
With some risk of sounding arrogant, I'm going to say those doctors know not enough about sleep.
Okay.
Because my wife is 64 years old and she sleeps a sound 8-9 hours of sleep every night.
I would love to do that, man.
I believe you can, and I believe you will, if you put half of the intention on that as you did with the weight loss. I believe, David, that it will change your life for the better.
I know. The way you're saying it, I got to get more information about it, and I'm gonna try to do it because my 8 hours sleep really did a difference on me, man.
I'm gonna send you when I get off of this immediately. I'm gonna send you a link to this podcast, and then you can research this woman. And it's everything. Anywhere you go now, sleep is pretty much the number one hot topic right now, is getting that enough sleep. And then it goes into, I'd love for you to learn a little bit from a man named doctor named Andrew Huberman. I don't know if you've ever heard of his podcast. He's a neuroscientist out of Stanford.
Okay.
He's a professor of ophthalmology at Stanford University. And he has a huge podcast, but one of his platforms is to really talk about circadian rhythm and how important it is that when you wake up in the morning, you try to get some of that first light out of the day, get 10-15 minutes of that in your eyes. So then by the time it starts getting darker in the evening, you start to already relax into falling asleep.
Okay.
And David, these are just simple little things that we do that change our lives, man. And I'm telling you, the best is yet to come, bro. I'm telling you, the best is yet to come. There's so many things that you're going to learn. They're just going to blow your mind.
Listen, but and that really makes sense to me, because part of the process of losing weight is resting too. You have to have the right amount of rest in order for your body to to keep working. You have to have those periods of rest. It's very important, and I know for a fact that it is.
Can we talk about the R word is not rest, the one that I've recently learned?
Yeah.
I always knew about rest, but now I'm learning about another R word, which is recovery. Recovery. And recovery is a powerful word, man. You got to recover after you do these big walks. You need a day, sometimes 2 days to recover.
That's what I was going to ask you. How long does it take to recover from those walks that you take that are that almost heroic walks? Because how long does it take you to get back within recovery?
So recovery is it's sort of a moving target, and I don't know if that's the best way to describe it. What I've learned about recovery is different. Recovery happens really, really well when there is an injury, when there is no injury. So there have been times that I go out on a trail run and I've slipped a little bit on a turn, and my foot and my ankle has slipped, and I have felt a little twitch in my back.
Okay.
All of a sudden, I don't think much of it, but I just keep running.
Okay.
I wake up the next day, I can't hardly move. That's,
Wow.
that's injury. That's going to require a lot of time to recover. Sometimes that's 3, 4, 5 days, or maybe 1, 2, 3 weeks. So
Wow.
that's injury. But from working out, when there is no injury, there still has to be recovery to continue to build rest. And rest, then you start stacking on muscle. You start building mitochondria, which is a cell that's inside our muscle. You build that mitochondria by doing endurance training. So I've been doing, right now what I'm doing is like you, I'm doing bigger walks. So
Okay.
my goal is in 12 weeks, I want to walk. I don't know if I mentioned this to you, but I want to walk 24 hours nonstop.
That's you. That's amazing, man. It's almost for
But
me. That could be impossible, man.
yeah, but it can only be done if I do it right. And by doing it
Okay.
right means if I build on it. So today is week 1. I started Tuesday with a 2-hour walk.
Okay.
Yesterday, I did a 4-hour walk. And tomorrow, Saturday, I'm going to do 5 or 6 hours. And then for the
Wow.
next 4 weeks, I'm going to wrench that up by about 15 to 20% every week. And I'm going to do 3 cycles of that with some recovery in between, a 3 to 5 day recovery in between those weeks. So in
Okay.
about 12 weeks, my goal is to get to the 24-hour, but it might take me 13 or 14 weeks if my recoveries are longer and I don't have any injury. If I create injury because I just went too hard, too fast, then that could set me back. But I have to be aware that that's something that I'd be doing to myself. I
Yeah.
need to listen to my body and just allow for it to have enough time to build mitochondria and build
Okay.
that strength in my lower back and everywhere that I need to accomplish a 24-hour. The other thing that I don't want to leave out that I'm learning a lot about right now is the nutrition that you need as an energy source while you're burning all that energy. So you can't walk 24 hours without taking in calories. So
Yeah. That.
you got to eat about every 30 to 45 minutes. You have to eat something. And there may even be some, in 24 hours, there may be some power naps in the middle of that where I stop for 20 minutes and I try to sleep for 20 minutes.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of science, and for me, it's a process of exploration. And I have a lot of fun just exploring and and one of my favorite things to do now is to explore time alone, challenging myself to get
Okay.
out of my own way, because at the end of the day, I'm the only thing that limits me.
Yeah. Let me tell you something. I was something that maybe, it's my perception, but in some cultures, like Spain, they take naps, and they close the commerce
Yes.
for this. And I've seen it in a small town in the other side of the island, like Rincon. They close down at noon to take those naps. And that's something that maybe, it's something that's, you have to make some studies about it, because mentally it does something to you, and in your body, taking a nap plus the hours that you take a sleep at night, that has to make some kind of difference, man.
Well, I love to talk on that just for a second, because naps for me have always been a thing. I love
Yeah.
naps, but
Yeah.
a lot of times they were a thing when I was in the produce business and
Yeah.
my circadian rhythms were off.
Yeah.
What I can tell you now, with the way that I eat, with no salt, oil, sugar, no animal products, no alcohol, no caffeine,
Yeah.
David, I have so much energy that I very rarely require a nap now.
Okay.
But I am the biggest fan of naps. And
Yeah.
if my body is tired and my body or my mind need it, I'm the first person to just lay down flat for 20 minutes or an hour. I don't care, and I do not apologize for it. I love
Okay.
naps, but it
Yeah.
seems like lately I don't need them.
Because there's a relation, the way you're saying it right now, and it makes sense to me. So the food you're eating it's related to the way your body's going to react, and you don't need an additional resting period because your body doesn't require it.
Beautifully
Right?
said, man. Really beautifully
Yeah.
said. Yeah, it surprises me. It surprises me, just so you know, because I've always been Susan will tell you, I've always been a nap guy.
Yeah. And
And the
how
thing,
about
and the thing, and the thing with me and naps is that I would get kind of greedy. And
yeah,
sometimes my 20-minute power nap could be a 2.5 hour sleep.
yeah, yeah. I was gonna go through one thing, and I wanted your impression on it because in this process I've been like for losing weight for the last 30 years, 35, 40 years. I've gone through different kind of weight loss programs. And my main concern and my main question was with all these people with these programs, and most of them counselors that they want to. I always keep asking, and they saw me as problematic because I keep asking this: how how you know what I'm going through? If you're never being fat in your life. Sorry, I went out of here. Okay,
Oh, it's
I'm
okay.
okay. I got you. How can you relate to what I'm going through if you've never been fat in your life? And most of these people, most of them are, beautiful people, really projecting, this way of being positive, and that you can study all the want, but you just can't tell me the way you feel if you haven't been into this struggle in your life. You understand what I'm saying? And that's something that they never could answer, uh, and that's something that kept me going. You've been fat? No. Ever you been fat in your life? Okay, I know you study this and we have training about this, but if you not haven't been fat, you don't know what's the mental situation of that person or the anxiety that he suffers, and all those things that come through this. You understand what I'm saying? It doesn't make sense. I just couldn't connect to those persons,
I have, there's a couple of people on the podcast that have spoken. As a matter of fact, I have one of them on the podcast next week again, a second time, is Dr. Goldhammer. And I think you may have watched that episode with, he's the person that owns the True North Health Center where I've stayed in Santa
Yes.
Rosa. And to me, those are and Dr. Lyle, his co-author in the book, The Pleasure Trap. I think
Yeah.
those are the only thin people who I've ever met
Yeah.
who understand what we go through because they've done the work and they follow the science and they've had the patients in their at the True North Health Center to track and follow sort of what happens, what the success and failure rates are, and what kind of keeps us coming back for more. But outside of those two people, I've never met anybody who has not understood what food addiction meant.
Yeah.
Boy, I'm really concerned about the halo behind me because the lighting
Yeah,
changed.
yeah. You just
Pretty
have some kind of a paint thing you there. Halo
Jesus,
thing.
Jesus now. I'm Jesus. Anyway, it's like
I
this
think
is
a miracle's coming.
wow, there's a miracle coming. So
But you're right about that, and I don't want to be disrespectful for the people who have their studies and gone
yeah,
through this. But for me, if you haven't been there
hard, man.
through, you're incomplete of telling me some things, and I can listen to you. And the pleasure trap is something that book you told me, and I have bought it. I'm gonna start reading it.
Oh,
Uh, I want to learn about it. I've been reading lots of times about intermittent fasting. I've tried lots of things, and maybe all of them in the market. And, I ended up the same place,
David, but I've heard these guys say this, and I so clearly see it.
yeah,
It was in the 1970s that revolution with food came about.
yeah,
Remember the TV dinners and remember those
yeah.
things? Remember,
Wow, yeah,
I remember when they used to tell us that, Ruffles potato chips, you can't just eat one.
right.
Those things were done by
On
design
purpose. Yeah, there were those.
for
Yeah.
profit, right? They were all done
Yeah.
for profit, so it keeps you coming
Yeah.
back for more. David, I go through a grocery store today,
Yeah.
and
Mhm.
there's 90% of the grocery store that I don't need to visit. There's only 10% of the grocery store that I visit.
Yeah.
And it goes to show you what we're being fed, because
Yeah.
everything, 90% of everything is processed in a grocery store,
Mhm.
designed to keep us coming back for more. And we, like cattle, have just gone, along with this way of eating and doing the drive-throughs at McDonald's and
Yeah.
doing that. We're society, we're human beings, we're community and tribal people. We follow each other. And if
Yeah.
we follow each other down the cliff, we follow each other down the cliff. It's what we do. And it's
Yeah,
when you make
and you have to go. We live so fast this time around. Everything has to be instant and fast,
yes,
and that's what it's culture, and that's what you teach you teach your kids, and it's something that later on hurts because my kid, I did what my dad did to me. I had to take him out to eat. That was the way I was programmed. So and my son right now is obese,
what
and
do
I
you
feel guilty because I had a big part on that.
well, David, I'm going to tell you the secret to changing people. You know what the
Yeah.
secret to changing people is? It's going to blow your mind.
Tell me right now. Yeah.
Change yourself.
Yeah. Yeah. You gotta start by yourself. Yeah, definitely.
You start with yourself, because I'll tell you, the one thing that I'm the most proud of these days
Mhm.
is that my family eats better.
Yeah, that's
My family goes out on major hikes.
yeah.
Son and my daughter-in-law started trail running.
Wow.
And I've never suggested to any of these people to do this. They're
Mhm.
doing it because they see that somebody in their family is kind of doing it, and somebody in their family is deriving so much joy out of it that I haven't had to suggest. Because the minute you tell people to do something, guess what? They're going the other way.
Yeah.
They don't
They
want
followed
to.
by example, and you're setting those trends, and they feel that happiness and this positive that you're doing, and they wanna get into that too.
You're doing the same thing. You're doing
Yeah.
exactly the same thing for your son. Is you
Yeah.
made you made a decision, man, and that's where it
Yeah.
starts, bro.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
really
Definitely, man.
this was a
And,
good this was a good episode, David.
man, we covered like
This
a
is a good
whole.
this is a good
it,
episode.
it's been like we went in the roller coaster ride today, man.
Wow, man. It felt like going back to a nightclub with you, man. We're ready. We're ready to
Yes,
go back and go clubbing.
yes. It felt like going to that Marty McFly DeLorean,
Yeah.
going back in time. That way it felt to me too, man.
That's beautiful. I love it.
Yeah.
It's funny. I was thinking about something like that the other day because my daughter-in-law is a real Star Wars fanatic.
Uh-huh.
Oh, when they came over the other day, she says, God, it was for Christmas, during the Christmas holidays. She says, we should just keep watching Star Wars episodes. And, we started with
Yeah.
that first one. And the first Star Wars came when I knew you. It was in 1976 or
Yeah.
something.
Uh-huh.
And it came out, and I went to see it in Puerto Rico,
Yeah.
which was fabulous. And I thought, man, look at these effects. This is the best
Yeah.
movie ever. And now you look back at it and you're thinking, huh, that wasn't that good.
Yeah, because at that time it was like the biggest thing, but mhm,
Good.
right.
Yeah, and it was at a little tiny movie theater on, I think it was in Santurce on la calle del Parque. If you cross La Roosevelt or something like that, there's
Yeah.
a little theater there.
Yeah.
And it wasn't even a big theater and all that, but it was Star Wars in Puerto Rico.
Yeah. I think it's the Excelsior. It was because in Santurce was like the movie theater mecca.
There were
There
several,
was
right?
Yeah, there were like around 8, 9 movie theaters. Right now it goes down to one.
Wow. Oh, things change.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Well, man, I want to continue this conversation with
Yeah.
you, and I love to do more on the body mind index, because I think it's going to be a very interesting journey going forward for you, my friend. And I'm here to support
Yeah.
you in every which way. And
Thanks.
you're well on your way, man. It's a one day at a time thing.
Yeah.
And dude, whenever you feel like things get hard, just stop, pause, and just take a big deep breath, man.
Yeah.
Just take a
You know,
big.
sometimes it's overwhelming, but let me tell you something. Just by doing that post podcast you do weekly, and I missed you for a while because you were kind of out. But what the information you're giving us right now, it makes a difference. Let me tell you, something stays in you.
Well, that makes all the difference to me because that's why I do it. And sometimes
Yeah.
you don't feel heard, and the ego kind of gets in there, and you're like, oh God, why am
Yeah.
I doing this? Am I doing this for my? And at the end of the day, when I had to pull back for a few weeks for the personal reasons that what I
Yeah.
was dealing with
Yeah.
family,
Yeah.
I when I sort of was coming out of my own well,
Uh
uh,
huh.
I felt like, wow, I'm missing putting that out there because I
Yeah.
feel somebody's hearing it, and I did get a couple of concern messages, and it made me feel like, oh, as long as somebody needs the information, and I can be sort of a little bit of that example of what could be done, then that motivates me even more. So I
Yeah.
really appreciate it, man. It goes both ways, my friend.
Yeah. Right. I was gonna say it goes both way around. Yeah. It goes both ways. Yeah.
It goes
Definitely.
both ways, man. Yeah,
Yeah.
and one last thing that I'll say, a little bit over a year ago, my physical therapist who kept me from back surgery said
Yeah.
to me, one day you will be running around your neighborhood. You'll like running, and you'll be running. And I thought he was crazy. I thought, dude, I
Yeah.
just want back surgery.
Yeah.
I'm 56 years old back last year. Now I'm 57. I
Yeah.
thought there is no way running is not in my life, much
Mm-hmm.
less hiking and some of these adventures.
Mm-hmm.
David, the fact that just, a few months ago I went to Mount Whitney, and the fact that I'm doing the
Oh
thing
man, that's
I'm doing,
amazing, man.
and the only reason I'm telling you this is because it's the same thing's going to happen for you, man. You're still a young guy.
Mm-hmm.
The health that you're going to experience in this, just continue to be curious and be patient. Be
Yeah.
curious and patient, because the more patient you are, the more time you give for this thing that's called cravings and the mental aspect, because you're walking through fire right now, and I know you
Mm-hmm.
are. But the
Mm-hmm.
more time you allow to pass, the more that will ease, and the better it'll get. And you'll see, man. And you won't crave that crap. Ultimately,
Yeah.
you won't crave it.
Have you tried blood testing to compare the way you were and right now? What can you have a reference to see where you're at right now?
That's a great question. I actually went to the True North Health Center. I went a month ago, and Susan and I stayed there 4 or 5 nights. And what I did was my blood work, and Susan did her blood work just to see if there were deficiencies in
Yeah.
areas. And the one thing that they suggested is continue the B12 because I'm vegan,
Okay.
but vitamin D because I'm not getting enough sun, and I'm darker skinned than you. And the darker the skin, the harder it is to get the vitamin D to your system.
Okay.
So it's still important for you to get some sunlight out there every day.
Okay.
And I think getting blood work it's key. I think it's a big part of it. And to get a benchmark on blood work now, and maybe get a benchmark every 6 months or once a year, I think it's your dad was a doctor. You said it. It's
Yeah.
the way you should go forward. And the other thing that I'm
Yeah.
a big fan of, I don't know if they're accessible in Puerto Rico, but
Mhm.
God, in California, we get DEXA scans here, and the DEXA scans here are like $50 a DEXA scan, which is a steal. Most
Okay.
everywhere else, they seem to cost $200 or $300 to get,
Okay.
to get your body composition. It'll tell you body fat percentage,
Uh-huh.
muscle percentage. It'll measure bone density for osteoporosis.
Okay. Okay.
And those things, at some point, you're going to want to stop worrying about the scale and more about body composition and getting muscle.
Okay.
But this is the world that you're walking into, and it's a lot of fun, man.
Yeah. I went through the blood test like last week ago,
Yeah.
What I compare what I was started last year and now,
Oh, so you have
it,
two of them. How did that go?
it's a whole new thing, man. It's
It's a whole new
different.
human, right?
Yeah, but let me tell you something because I know we've gone through a lot this conversation, but the other thing you have to make sure you know when you go through that surgery is that you have to supplement daily differently because your body, when you take that 3/4 of a stomach, it won't produce the whatever vitamins and minerals that your body needs. So you have to take them every day in order to balance it. And one of the things that they say after 4 months, you start losing hair, and you know there's so many things that you have to learn and know and to sacrifice when you go through this. But like I told you, I was in a dead end, and I mean dead end, and I just couldn't do, Jerry, I just couldn't do 10, 20 pounds. I had to do massive because I had to lose 200 and something pounds all of a sudden. And at this stage, you're a miracle there, the way you did it. I just don't know if I could have that courage that you have, you went through, it's something amazing. And I admire you for that, man.
Well, David, I got to tell you, I'm not a success story by any
Mhm.
means. I'm still I'm still a food addict.
Mhm.
The cravings and things like that are not as hard as they were before. And I've cleaned up my environment a lot. And Susan, I have to keep an eye out on things because
Yeah.
if I don't watch it, Susan will bring contraband
Yeah,
in.
and you in the real estate business, like I saw you a couple of times, those open houses are bound for all different types of food, and you're exposed to that every
Oh,
day.
oh, there's nothing that I love. You would love this. There's nothing that I love more than doing an open house with asopao de
Yeah,
pollo. Dude,
yeah,
I do a open house with asopao de pollo. People lose their mind,
yeah,
but those are hard temptations, man. And
yeah. They
and
are.
it takes a lot. But again, I appreciate you saying that you get what it takes
Mhm.
to do what you're doing successfully, to do what I'm doing
Mhm.
successfully. But by no means would I ever say I've arrived. This is a lifelong effort that comes with a real awareness and a real
Yeah,
awareness that it's not easy, and it also comes with a humility that at any moment
yeah,
one can slip, you know.
yeah.
And Chef AJ said it. She asked me on the show, she says, have you had a snack accident? She calls it a snack. And I'm
my,
happy.
my 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 psychologist says that I bet you go to food porn every day because
Oh,
my first thing when I go through my cellular phone
yeah.
is like I go to see food. That's something like unconditionally that goes through my mind every day.
Yeah.
And the way you were saying things about you being getting comments out, what the hell you doing right now, eating that way? That's something that's crazy. I got the same thing when I did the bariatric surgery. You're gonna go fat again.
Oh,
Why the hell you go through that?
wow.
80% of my comments for people close to me were those,
Wow.
and that make me angry sometimes. And I say, I'm gonna do this, and I'm gonna show them wrong. And the way you are, the way I am. We
Use
go
that
through hell
use
just
that
to
as your
show them the
fuel.
way that
Oh,
they're wrong.
use that as fuel. You can turn that into a
Yeah,
positive. Absolutely,
yeah,
turn that into a positive.
yeah,
I have no doubt, man. I have no,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
So
yeah.
I love you. Let's do this again.
You too.
Maybe we can do this every 4 to 5 weeks and check in and have some fun
That would be great, man.
together. I love it, and I can already think of you and I doing our own podcast together, man. So it'd be a lot of fun. We should do
Yeah,
we should do one in Spanish.
we should do it. And what
Do one
a
in Spanish.
great day to do it this time around. Three Kings Day in Puerto Rico, which is Dia de Reyes, which is like
Yes, yes.
one of the biggest festivity. You chose this day. I don't know. We were aware that we were
How
gonna
funny, El
go
Día de
touch
los
on this.
Reyes.
Yeah, Dia de Reyes, which is like the epiphany of a really traditional thing in Puerto Rico, and what a great day of ending it up this way, man.
Well, thank you for making yourself available. I know it's not easy. I
Yeah,
know it's late. It's late over there, man. So
yeah,
thank you so much. This was a real gift for me, man. Thank you for my Dia de los Tres Reyes Magos gift that you
yes.
sent me, man. It's freaking awesome. We'll certainly do this again, and it won't be it won't be long. But let's talk more about doing one in Spanish. I think you and I can have a lot of fun
Sure.
just doing it Boricua Cuban style.
Definitely. It will be great, man.
Oh, speaking of which, in 40 minutes, I will be at a place called The Fink in Napa Valley, where there's going to be a Cuban music band playing. So I think I'm
Wow.
going to be busting out the salsa moves, man. So I'm going to send you a little
Great.
video clip when I'm out there.
Great, man. Send it. I would love to see it, man.
All right, bro. I'm gonna also send this when this video. I think this video will go out next week. Just so you know, I'm gonna send a copy of it to Idalia. It's gonna blow her mind.
She won't expect this, man. And it will be that's a big surprise for her, man.
What the hell?
Yeah, yeah.
Peace, bro. Love you.
Say hi to Susan. All my love to your family. You're for me, you're a warrior of light, man, and that's something you have to keep going, and you have to keep, with the work you're doing because it's positive, man, and it's good. Love.
I still remember your sister punching me in the back for picking on me in the eighth grade. So I never
Yeah.
considered myself a bully, but I did something that really got her mad, and I
Yeah.
still have a bruise in the middle of my back, man.
Yeah.
Es una fiera. Una fiera.
Yeah. She always been that way, man.
Always been that way.
Yeah.
Love you, bro.
Take care, brother.
Bye.
Love you. Happy Drinking Day.
Aye, Three Kings Day.